Hello everyone, my name is Anurag. I secured the All India Rank 6 in Indian Forest Service 2019. In this video, I'll be talking about the interview stage. In the 2019 interview, I got 216 marks out of 300, which is I think the second highest this year. And I'll be mostly talking about what to do and not to do in the interview and how to prepare for it beforehand. The preparation for interview typically starts from when you fill in your DAF, the detailed application form. So just a little bit background about myself. I did the integrated bachelor's and master's program at Indian Institute of Science Education and Research, IISER Pune. I majored in biology and specialized in wildlife ecology and evolutionary biology. After that, I worked for about a year in the National Center for Biological Sciences, Bangalore, which was again a research position on lizard ecology. After that, I joined the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology and Science, ETH Zurich, where I worked for about 6 months on lake ecology and impact of climate change on aquatic ecosystems. And a big part of why I think I got good marks in the interview was because my background and work experience are all aligned with wildlife and ecology, environment and conservation. And so the board probably thought I had solid reasons to join IFS. But having said that, let's just go into the general details for the interview. The interview for IFS is typically different from that for the civil services. The 2019 batch of IFS officers have a blog called beingifs.in, and they have a compilation of interview transcripts for the questions that have been asked in IFS. If you check that out, you'll see that most of the questions are centered around forestry, environment issues, and then your DAF. And from my own experience, of course, there is no rule for this. If your DAF is interesting enough, they would mostly center the interview around it, because I felt the UPSC board is very interested and keen on getting to know you as a person. And it's actually not called an interview, it's called a personality test. And even if you see the form, it says they want to gauge your personality in form of a conversation. And at all times, do not lose track of the fact that your interview is merely a conversation. And so, well, let's go into what you should do for the interview beforehand. Prepare a certain few things well, and those would be forestry concepts. You should probably revise your forestry optional, whatever other optional you have, and think of what are its possible applications in forestry. For example, if you have an engineering optional, think of how you can use your engineering knowledge in better management of forests. For me, my other optional was zoology apart from forestry, and so I thought beforehand of how knowledge of basic zoology can help in wildlife management, etc. And secondly, the prevalent issues in environment. Like, for example, this year, the reintroduction of cheetah was highlighted right before the interview, and then you always have issues related to pollution and river interlinking. And then this year again, there was the death of birds in Sambar Lake. So try to have opinions, a well-balanced and rounded opinions on topics like these. Third would be your home state. Apart from your home state, any other place that you have lived in for a significant amount of time, let's say you worked somewhere or in some state or some country, then you should have a good idea of the happenings in these places. After that, whatever else you fill in your DAF, every single word that you mention in your DAF should be prepared well, because you never know from where they can spring up a question. And when you're filling your DAF, sometime the DAF for this comes around 10 to 15 days after the civil service DF. So when you're filling it, just keep thinking about the possible questions that can come from this. You should not be way too enthusiastic and fill in too many details on your DAF, because then you'd have to put in a lot of preparation right before the interview. For example, one of my hobbies is painting, but I did not mention painting, rather I mentioned sketching, which is a more casual uh, way of art. Then I did not really want to prepare all of Indian painting movements and abroad, and painting just seemed too much to prepare from. So let's go to what you should do on the day of the interview. And typically you would have attended many mocks in Delhi before your interview, and from my observation I learned something in each of the mocks, but I feel the day of the interview the UPSC board is way more cordial and they make you much more comfortable than the mocks. So if you think you're doing badly in your mocks, or you are being asked way too many questions that you don't have answers to, then don't be too worried about it. The interview day is a completely different day. Go in with a fresh mind, a positive mindset, and a confident mindset. That is the single most important thing to get good marks in the interview: your confidence and your attitude. Stay respectful, be comfortable but not casual. That should be your goal. Do not appear way too flustered or nervous. That is because the chairperson would always want to make you feel comfortable when you enter, and just like have a friendly, warm vibe with the board members. And of course, this goes without saying, groom well, dress well on the day, and listen to their questions properly. Take maybe 2 seconds to think of an answer and then answer. At all points of the interview, at any point of time during the interview, you should look genuinely interested in answering the question. Always remember again that this is a conversation. I mean, at no point should you look disinterested, and that really puts them off. So be confident, but do not be casual. So you'd learn all the basic interview etiquette in the mocks itself, like how to enter, wishing them good morning, waiting till they ask you to take a seat, and when you come back you should thank each board member, and so on. And when you answer the questions, if you do not know the answer to a particular question, be firm but polite in saying that no, you don't know the answer. I have been asked questions about if at all you should say sorry for not knowing something. So if it's a factual question, then knowing everything under the sun is not possible. So I'm not sure if you should really be saying sorry, but in the interview I felt it's a really minor detail and it doesn't really affect your marks overall. Then, but if it's an opinion based question, then saying that you don't have any idea about it looks bad. But whatever you do, even while filling your DF or in the course of your interview, do not try to bluff your way out of a situation. If you think you're not sure, then ask them for permission to guess. It's just it's a pretty much rhetorical question. They're not never going to say no, you can't guess. They'll always give you that option to guess. And if a member gives you certain extra piece of information, always thank them. When you're answering a particular member, please make sure that you keep looking around and engaging everyone in the conversation. Don't be too obvious about it, be subtle, but do not just focus on one single person. After that, do not, again I'll say, do not bluff. The people who are on that panel are experts and have practical experience for about 30 years, and more than that, they interview about maybe 100 students every year. They'll know a bluff from the moment it leaves your mouth. So they're looking for honest people with well-rounded personalities. So if you're bluffing, you're again negating that honesty part. And that is pretty much all. Relax, stay confident, and prepare well leading up to the interview. And I'll be sharing my interview transcript in the video description. So all the best.